and successful relationships. Since it's February and we just had Valentine's Day, wanted to talk a little bit. It doesn't have to be romantic relationships, but just the issues that come up with communication when you have ADHD. Because sometimes it can cause misunderstandings and frustrations and resentments. We've got things like being distracted, disorganized, impulsive. Those things interfere sometimes with our relationships. You may feel like you're constantly being criticized or nagged or micromanaged, or maybe like you can never please your spouse or your boss or whatever. And maybe you just don't feel respected as an adult. So you either avoid or just what you have to do to get them off your back. And you wish they would just relax a little bit and stop trying to control every aspect of your life. So this may be you, or it may be the person who is living with you if you have ADHD. So if you are jumping on live, please say hi in the chat. I know I'm streaming in different places. This is a special training for Focus and Flow people, which is one of my exclusive VIP groups. And so if you're watching a replay somewhere, please let me know and just say hi. So it's possible that your spouse, if you have ADHD, maybe they feel lonely or ignored or unappreciated. Maybe they feel like they're tired of taking care of everything on their own and being the only responsible one. And they don't feel like they can rely on you, possibly, because you never seem to follow through on promises. And then you become aware of that and you feel shame, and you're mad at yourself. So all these things can come up, and maybe they're tired of constantly giving you reminders or demands or just doing everything themselves. And they don't understand. They feel like you just don't care. And it can be like a destructive cycle. You got the non-ADHD person who complains and nags and becomes resentful. And then the ADHD person feels judged and misunderstood. And so then the ADHD person gets defensive and pulls away, and that hurts the partner more. So it starts with understanding the role that ADHD plays in relationships. So even if you've never been diagnosed with ADHD, this possibly could help you. So this helps you both learn better ways of responding. And this means that you're going to have to learn how to manage your symptoms. And symptoms of ADHD that can cause problems in relationships are things like having trouble paying attention. Maybe they zone out during conversations, and it makes your partner feel ignored and devalued. Maybe they miss important details or mindlessly agree to something that you don't remember later. That can be really frustrating to your spouse. And the second thing is forgetfulness. Even when you're paying attention, you might later forget what was promised or discussed. Maybe a birthday or something you said you were going to pick up at the store. And they feel like you just don't care and you're not reliable, and you don't pay attention to details. But the third is poor organizational skills, and that can irritate a boss, a spouse. Maybe you have difficulty finishing tasks, and maybe the other person feels like they're always cleaning up after you and doing more than their share of family duties or whatever. And then on top of this, you have another hallmark trait of ADHD, impulsivity. So maybe if you have ADHD, you may blurt things out without thinking. Guilty, and that can cause hurt feelings. It can also lead to irresponsible and even reckless behavior. Maybe you do a big impulse spend that's not in the budget, and that can lead to fights over money. last week in this group, I talked about finances and ADHD. The fifth issue that ADHD can cause in relationships is emotional outbursts. Um, those of us who have ADHD have trouble moderating emotions sometimes, and so we may lose our temper easily, um, and then that makes it difficult. Well, we have trouble discussing issues calmly when we're emotional. And so the other person feels like they have to walk on eggshells to avoid blow ups. So I would encourage you to put yourself in your partner's shoes and try to see things from their perspective. It's easy to misinterpret their actions and their intentions. And this goes both ways for the ADHD partner and the other one, the non ADHD. It's hard to be objective when you're emotional. And the best way to understand another person's perspective is to ask and then simply listen. Listening goes a long way. Find a time to sit down and talk when you're not already upset, and let the person describe how they feel to you without you interrupting or trying to defend yourself or explain. I know it's very difficult. Um, and when they're finished, repeat back the main points and ask if you understood it. Okay, so what I hear you saying is blah, blah, blah. Did I get that right? Um, you may want to write the points down so you can think about them later. Then it's your turn, and you ask your partner to really listen with an open mind. So, here are some tips. I'm just going to give you a few tips for increasing understanding in your relationship. First, study up on ADHD. Learn everything that you can. And that goes for both. Understanding the symptoms and how they're affecting your relationship makes a light bulb go on. And so many of your issues finally make sense. And understanding that your brain is wired differently helps your partner not take things personally. And it's a relief to know why you act the way you do, and that there are steps that you can take to manage your symptoms. Um, this is so important to get out into the open. Um, Secondly, acknowledge the impact that your behavior has on your partner. Instead of just saying, well, I can't help it, and you're just going to have to deal with it. You want to recognize how your untreated or unmanaged ADHD symptoms have affected your partner. Don't dismiss their complaints because you don't like how they reacted. Um, Make sure you acknowledge and let them feel heard. And third, separate who your partner is from their behaviors. Symptoms or behaviors are not character traits. Because a person has disorganized behavior, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means they need to learn how to be more organized. So nagging usually arises from feelings of frustration and stress, not because they're a bee. um, so try to think about how your partner might feel if you're listening to this and you have ADHD. It's possible that your partner feels unwanted or unloved. Um, they might see lack of attention as a lack of interest rather than you being distracted. And they want to feel, cherished, men or women. And secondly, they might be angry and emotionally blocked because sometimes anger is expressed as disconnection. So they try to block those feelings by bottling them up inside. They also might be incredibly stressed out because maybe they're often carrying the largest portion of the family responsibilities and they can't ever let their guard down. They feel like life could fall apart at any time because of your inconsistency and it all falls on them and it just feels overwhelming. So you may not be the only one feeling overwhelmed. Um, Fourthly, they might feel ignored and offended. So, to your spouse, it doesn't make sense that you don't act on their experience and advice more often when it's clear to them what needs to be done. It makes so much sense to them, and they think you're just not listening. They might also feel exhausted and depleted, and they carry too many responsibilities, and no amount of effort seems to fix the relationship. Maybe they're frustrated. I feel like the same issue keeps coming back up over and over again. So take responsibility for your role. This is where your progress starts. This goes for your spouse as well. Symptoms are not the only problem. How your partner responds, that can either make it better or worse. And you're responsible for how you react to their concerns. Your reaction can either make the other person feel validated and heard or disregarded and ignored. So you want to break free of the parent child dynamic. Every time you fail to follow through on tasks or forget things, your partner takes on more and more of the household responsibilities. The more lopsided the partnership becomes, the more resentful they're going to feel. And you start to feel like there's no point to even trying. And you dismiss them as being controlling and impossible to please. So this is where this cycle comes in. So acknowledge that your symptoms are interfering in your relationship. It's not just that your partner is being unreasonable. Um, you have to take responsibility. Yes, maybe you have ADHD. You can get help. Calm down before talking. Find ways to communicate. Stop fighting and start communicating. Don't bottle up your emotions. You're not a mind reader. Don't make assumptions about how your partner, what their motivations are, what they're thinking. My husband always gets mad when I do that. I try to get in his head and tell him what he's thinking. He's like, I know what I'm thinking. That wasn't it. So watch what you say and how you say it, tone of voice. Find the humor in the situation if you can. And it's much better to be face to face than texting. And don't forget that active listening. And, without defending yourself, you listen, you clarify, and then you don't interrupt. And just work as a team. It's so important to be a team. And I've particularly been talking about spouses, but this could also apply to other relationships. And so, knowing all of this and knowing how ADHD can really affect these relationships, I just want to again let you all know that I do help with this as an ADHD coach. And so, if you've ever thought of getting somebody to walk alongside you to give you support and feedback, I would love to chat with you to see if it might make sense for us to work together. So make sure you let me know that. And you can email me, Cindy@cindybakercoaching.com, or you can put it in the chat. But whatever you do, just make sure that you don't use your ADHD as an excuse, because we can manage our symptoms and have very healthy, positive, satisfying relationships. And I know this because I have done it myself and I've helped lots of other people as well. So if that is you and you do want that help, make sure to let me know. So if you end up watching this as a replay, make sure to say hi. Let me know that you're here. I would love to connect with you. And I hope this was a good topic for you. I hope you got some good tips. And it was a good practical session for you. And I will see you next time. Oh, hi, Kathy. I miss you. All right. Good to see all of you. See you next time. Bye.